The colony of Crescent Haven was a dream made real, an outpost of peace carved out far from Earth, built by generations who believed humanity could start again somewhere calm. Its forests breathed clean air, its rivers shimmered with untouched purity, and its people had laid down weapons long ago. Children played barefoot in the grass. Families grew crops by hand. No warships in the sky, no sirens in the night. Just life, simple, safe, until the sky turned red. It began with a sound, low and deep, like thunder, but not from clouds. People paused in the streets, heads tilted, eyes squinting at the horizon. The animals heard it first. Birds took off in flocks. Deer vanished into the trees. A strange hush fell over everything. Then the sky tore open. Dark shapes, hundreds of them, punched through the clouds. Massive ships unlike anything Crescent Haven had seen before. No flags, no warning beacons, just black metal and silence. Then fire. They opened fire on the colony below. Buildings vaporized in bursts of light. Streets cracked apart. Screams echoed over the sound of collapsing towers. The quiet peace of Crescent Haven shattered into chaos. Captain Montana, a senior defense officer stationed at one of the outer posts, barely made it to the emergency command station. Her face was streaked with blood and dust, uniform torn, breath short. She slammed her fist against the emergency comms terminal. "This is Haven Base. We are under attack. Unknown fleet. No ID. Requesting immediate support. Anyone. Please respond." Static answered her. Then a blast rocked the outpost, knocking her to the floor. Through the shattered glass window, she saw what was once a school building engulfed in flames. No children running now, just ash. Across the colony, another survivor, a young systems engineer named Texas, was hauling civilians toward underground shelters. He wasn't trained for war. He had no weapon, no command authority, just instincts and urgency. Move. Get inside. Don't stop. His hands were raw from dragging a collapsed door aside so an injured woman and her child could crawl through. Overhead, an escape shuttle tried to lift off. It made it 20 meters before a searing red beam cut it clean in half. By the time Earth's defense fleet arrived, Crescent Haven was almost gone. Admiral Carolina, leading the response force, stood on the bridge of her ship, orbiting the wreckage. Her eyes were locked on the fires still burning below, the black smoke rising into space. The colony's green lands were now gray. Whole sectors were simply gone. "They didn't come to invade," Carolina muttered. "They came to erase." Her officers said nothing. Some wept. Some shook with rage. They combed the surface for survivors. They found only a few hundred, out of millions. Captain Montana was one of them. Barely alive, hands still clenched around her broken comms unit. Texas, burned but conscious, was found lying at the entrance to a shelter packed with children. He'd never left his post. The attackers had vanished as quickly as they'd arrived. No messages, no insignias, no mercy, just silence. Earth got the message hours later. The footage was raw, graphic. A colony turned into dust. Emergency sessions were held across every major orbital station. Defense grids were activated. Generals spoke in clipped tones, but behind their eyes was one shared truth. They didn't know who the enemy was, or when they'd strike again. Then a signal came, not from the military, not from Earth's civilian leaders. It came through an old black ops emergency channel, one that hadn't been active in decades. The voice was calm, low, cold. "This is Commander Alaska, Authorization Dragon Protocol Omega-1. We are alive, we are ready, and we are responding. You've awakened the monsters Earth tried to bury." Then silence. Only a handful of people on Earth understood what that meant. The Dragons, not a military unit, not officially, not on any records that mattered. They were whispers, rumors from black files sealed beneath Earth's crust. 12 operatives trained for extinction-level warfare. They weren't made for peacetime. They weren't meant to exist at all. Now they were awake, buried deep in Earth's crust, beneath a mountain range long stripped of official designations. The underground bunker stirred. Rusted metal groaned. Red emergency lights flickered to life. Dust shifted, and the dragons came home. One by one, they returned to the shadows. Commander Alaska opened a steel case from a vault sealed decades ago. Inside, his armor. Heavy, scorched. Built not for speed or elegance, but for survival in the worst environments the galaxy could produce. Behind him, figures emerged from the dark, each one silent, each one trained to kill without hesitation. One was part machine, limbs replaced with carbon nerve plating. One never spoke, his strength known only by the tanks he'd torn open during previous deployments. One exhaled a slow-burning vapor laced with engineered neurotoxins. These were no soldiers. They were weapons. Each had survived death worlds across the galaxy, places where no other unit had lasted more than a week. They weren't bound by protocol. They didn't salute. They didn't ask for orders. They followed one principle: no mercy for those who target Earth. Back in orbit, Admiral Carolina received the confirmation she never expected. The dragons have activated. I didn't authorize them, she said quietly. Her adjutant shook his head. It came from Omega-1. Nobody could override it, not even her. Carolina closed her eyes. Omega-1 wasn't for invasions. It was for obliterations. They're ghosts, she whispered. Ghosts who never leave anything unfinished. Elsewhere, across the galaxy, in a hidden station cloaked from detection, alien voices murmured. Species from 5 different empires, normally rivals, now gathered in secret. They had ordered the strike on Crescent Haven. They had expected resistance, not retaliation. Why haven't the humans responded in full? One asked, its claws tapping a nervous rhythm on the table. Because they're soft now, too civilized. Another one hissed. Then why did we intercept a signal labeled dragons? The room fell silent. Only the oldest among them, a gray-skinned creature with glassy eyes, spoke. If the dragons are real, we've made a terrible mistake. The bunker beneath Earth's crust was more than metal and rock. It was memory. It was vengeance carved into architecture. Every room carried weight of silence, of promises never fulfilled, of ghosts. The dragons were fully assembled now, 12 in total. Not all human anymore. Some had undergone experimental augmentations after past missions. Others had adapted through battle, broken and rebuilt, one scar at a time. Together they were Earth's last option, not because they were noble, but because they were terrifying. Commander Alaska stood at the center of the war room. Screens flickered to life around him, maps, intercepted transmissions, orbital scans. His voice was steady, devoid of emotion. The colony is gone. The enemy used ships with no known insignias, tech that scrambles ID. But they made one mistake. They left a trail. He pointed to a distant star system near the galactic rim. That's where the attack launched from. No open bases, no civilian markers, just a shadow zone. Georgia, the team's intelligence expert, pulled up satellite scans. Glitched data, masked comm traffic, no official traffic, but too many emissions for a dead system. Delaware, tall, silent, the team's forward assault specialist, spoke without turning his head. It's a ghost port. Nevada, the youngest of the group, checked weapon logs and inventory. So we hit it? In and out? Alaska shook his head. We don't hit it. We erase it. No broadcasts, no survivors, no mercy. From the shadows of the room, Arizona, part machine, part something else, emitted a low hum as he adjusted his neural-linked rifle. They'll know it's us. Good, Alaska said. Let that fear spread. Above them, far in orbit, Admiral Carolina watched the briefings from a classified channel. She wasn't authorized to command the dragons, but she could monitor their aftermath. Her officers hovered near her, unsure of how to react. They've already launched, Carolina said, eyes locked on the screen. Without orders. With Omega-1, they don't need orders. One officer spoke, hesitant. But what happens if they go too far? Carolina didn't answer. She remembered the old reports. Missions from decades ago, worlds left silent, leaders who vanished without a trace. The dragons didn't operate like any military unit. They weren't soldiers. They were missions made flesh. The fleet will stand by, she said. If they ask for help, we give it. Otherwise, we don't interfere. Elsewhere, in a dark sector of space where the stars felt colder, the dragons descended. No lights, no fanfare, just silent black ships gliding through the dark like predatory animals. They hit the ghost port fast. The station never had a chance. Explosives planted, power systems disabled, defenses hacked and overridden by Georgia and Arkansas, the team's tech disruptor. The entire operation took less than 12 minutes. The enemy's guards, mercenaries from various alien factions, were taken out one by one. Some were vaporized. Others never saw the blade coming. Inside the port's central hub, Montana, a towering figure known for zero hesitation dragged an alien commander into the comms room. "We're just traitors. We didn't plan the attack." Alaska crouched in front of him, expression unreadable. "Who hired you?" "We don't know. The credits were blind. Encrypted." Alaska leaned closer. "That's a shame." He stood up. Georgia triggered the port's core meltdown. As the dragons evacuated, the enemy screamed their last messages into the void. Nobody heard them. The port exploded in complete silence. Only the void listened. On Earth, the news never reached the public. The attack on Crescent Haven was still a raw wound. No one wanted to explain what had been unleashed. But rumors spread fast, within military channels, blacknet forums, and dark colonies. Whispers, the dragons were awake, and they were hunting. In an alien stronghold buried in an asteroid field, the coalition leaders gathered again. Their coalition had been behind Crescent Haven's destruction, but now their confidence was cracking. "They shouldn't have survived," hissed one thin reptilian figure. "We struck them hard." "You struck civilians," said another. "Not their monsters." "They had no fleet, no retaliation plan," argued a third. "Then why are 2 of our outer bases gone in less than 48 hours? The room fell quiet. The footage was terrifying. Shadowy figures, armor blacker than space, weapons that cut through reinforced alloy like cloth. One recording had caught a glimpse of Texas, the dragon known for hand-to-hand brutality. He tore through a corridor with only a reinforced gauntlet, no weapons at all. A quiet elder alien, the same who had warned them before, spoke again. "This is not a conventional threat. We targeted their civilians, and in doing so, we woke the thing Earth never wanted to use." "We must retaliate," one alien growled. "No," the elder said. "You must hide. You don't negotiate with dragons. You run." Back in deep space, the dragons returned to their mobile base, an unregistered warship simply called Nightclaw. Cloaked from scanners, drifting through the fringes of known space, it had no registry, no home port. It didn't need one. In the central chamber, Alaska reviewed the after-action reports. Georgia stood beside him. The ghost port confirmed multi-species involvement. The codes used were from at least 5 separate empires. "Coalition," Alaska said. "Confirmed." "But why work together?" Georgia asked. "Most of these species hate each other because they fear what humans could become." A voice echoed from the chamber entrance. It was Oregon, one of the dragon's scouts. "We found something else." He placed a small data module on the table. Inside, intercepted messages, security recordings, battle plans. One message stood out: Operation Silence. No survivors, no records. "They weren't trying to conquer Crescent Haven," Alaska said. "They were trying to erase it, erase us." Later, under the cold stars of a devastated outpost called Helix Drift, the dragons left a warning. They carved human words into the last standing wall of the colony's command center. "Massive, sharp, glowing with burning plasma, we remember. We find you. We do not forgive." The message was recorded, broadcast, spread through black channels into the darkest corners of the galaxy. It didn't ask for mercy, it promised extinction. The galaxy began to shift, slowly then all at once. The dragons were no longer whispers, they were a pattern. Wherever they appeared, silence followed. No survivors, no debris worth salvaging. Just fire, warnings and symbols burned into steel. The coalition, fractured and fearful, tried to control the narrative. They said Earth had gone rogue, that these monsters were violating interstellar law. But deep down, every world that had watched the attack on Crescent Haven knew this wasn't about law, it was about consequence. On board the Nightclaw, the Dragons watched their latest target burn, a weapons depot hidden on the edge of known space. They didn't speak much after missions. They never needed to. Victory didn't bring celebration, only the question, what's next? Commander Alaska stood at the ship's forward window, the stars unmoving ahead of him. He spoke only once. They're going to try to bait us. Georgia, standing behind him, nodded. We intercepted a signal. Emergency distress from a ship called the Solace Reach. Went dark 5 years ago. Now it's back. One broken call for help. And the timing's too perfect, Alaska said. It's bait. Nevada, adjusting his modified gauntlet, cracked his knuckles. Then we spring it. The others filed into the chamber. Texas, Oregon, Delaware, Montana, Carolina, Arkansas, Arizona, and Missouri. 12 in total, silent and ready. No second thoughts. They'd been bred for situations just like this. Nara, their tech operative, codename Idaho, pulled up the signal waveform. It's real, or made to look real. Either way, it's coming from a debris field near the Crimson Edge. No trade routes, no friendly ships. Alaska nodded once. We move. The Solace Reach drifted near a dying star, its hull scorched, lights dim. It looked like a ghost ship, forgotten, haunted. The Dragons approached in stealth mode, Nightclaw's engines cold and silent. They docked in complete darkness. Texas was first in, sweeping corridors with his plasma axe ready. No resistance. No traps, yet. The interior was eerily intact. Food trays still sat on tables. Data pads rested on chairs, as if the crew had just vanished midday. Then they found the first body, a child, curled under a table. No blast marks, no wounds, just still. Carolina scanned the area. No heat signatures, no life. But something's wrong with the power grid. It's not consistent. Lights flickered, then turned red. A voice echoed through the corridors. Welcome, Dragons. Doors slammed. Defense turrets dropped from the ceiling. Walls shifted. They were inside a trap. Alien troops emerged from hidden panels. Hybrid soldiers. Not entirely alien. Not entirely human. They moved like machines. Quick, precise, with no hesitation. The Dragons responded as they always did, with silence and brutality. Nevada slammed through one wall of attackers, clearing space for Oregon to flank them. Montana tore open a turret with his bare hands, ripping the core from its shell. Georgia overloaded the power conduits and blacked out an entire wing of the ship. Texas laughed once as he cleaved through enemies. You wanted monsters. Here we are. Inside the command center, they met the architect of the trap, a tall figure, half machine, half burned flesh. Wires ran through his arms. One eye glowed red. The other was gone. I am Dr. Cyrex, he said calmly. I was once one of Earth's finest minds, but Earth feared progress. So they buried me. Alaska stepped forward, gun raised. You used humans, twisted them. Cyrex gestured to the dead soldiers around him. They were weak. I made them better. You made them hollow. Cyrex smiled. Just like you. The ship's countdown began. 7 minutes to self-destruct. Cyrex didn't run. He attacked, lashing out with a plasma whip from his arm. Delaware caught the blow, dragged the man into the floor, and held him down. Cyrex's words were broken through the blood. You think I'm the only one? Earth has more secrets, more monsters than you. Then he was gone. The Dragons raced through the burning ship, gravity failing, walls collapsing. They reached the airlock with less than 10 seconds to spare. Nightclaw pulled them aboard as the Solace Reach exploded behind them. Silence returned to space, but not to their minds. Back in the debrief chamber, they sat, unmasked. None of them looked at each other for long. Idaho finally broke the silence. He said there were more. Alaska nodded. There always are. They didn't fear death, but they did fear what Earth might still be hiding from them. The trap at Solace Reach wasn't just a ploy to kill the Dragons. It was a message. And the Dragons got it loud and clear. But so did the galaxy. Someone was building a new kind of war, Not armies, not fleets, monsters, artificial, hybrid, soulless. Someone wanted to control fear itself, to create something even worse than the dragons. The dragons had only one answer to that: elimination. Their target was Marshal Cortan, the strategist behind the attack on Crescent Haven and one of the architects of Operation Silence. He had vanished into deep space, hiding in the Crimson Veil, a deadly star system littered with asteroid fields and magnetic storms, protected by a personal fleet of 30 warships and a fortress ship at its heart. Most people would call it impenetrable. The dragons called it a target. Inside the Nightclaw, the war room lit up with red-coded schematics of the Crimson Veil. Defense grids, patrol patterns, asteroid clusters. The team studied them in silence. No one questioned the mission. Alaska paced in front of the map, calm, focused. This isn't revenge. It's a warning to everyone watching. No matter how far you run, if you touch Earth's people, we come for you. Georgia flicked through fleet data. He's got full shielding, layered defenses, no blind spots. Texas cracked his knuckles. Then we make some. The Nightclaw didn't attack head-on. That wasn't their way. Instead, it slipped into the system through a collapsed mining route, a narrow, volatile path no sane ship would take. Asteroids spun in every direction. Fields of electric interference fried unshielded systems. But the dragons weren't like anyone else. They navigated the path in silence, sliding between death itself. Their armor held. Their minds were focused. No fear, just the objective. Then they were in. 30 warships, all parked in a defensive web around the command ship. Alaska tapped his earpiece. Disrupt their comms, then divide them. Georgia launched hacked signals that looped enemy sensors and falsified ship positions. Arkansas took control of 3 patrol cruisers remotely, slamming them into the outer defense walls. Montana and Delaware breached an engine bay using kinetic drills and plasma charges. Explosions lit the void. The enemy fleet panicked. Inside the fortress ship, Marshal Cortan barked orders, his voice edged with disbelief. How did they get through? Deploy all units! His officers moved, but they were already too late. Dragons were already on the hull. Then inside. They breached through maintenance shafts, crushed doors, and ripped apart internal defenses. Every level they touched fell in seconds. Every camera that captured them blinked out before their next move. One by one, the corridors of the mighty flagship turned into tombs. Texas carved through enemy squads with his plasma axe. Nevada used magnetic pulses to disable rooms full of weaponry. Oregon dropped through a vent and wiped out a security checkpoint without a single shot. Cortan fled to the command chamber, his final defense. But the doors opened, and Alaska walked in. Behind him stood the other dragons, unharmed, armor still steaming, weapons glowing faintly in the dark. Cortan raised a plasma blade. You think you're justice? You're monsters. Alaska didn't blink. We are what you made us, Cortan charged, fast, desperate. It didn't matter. Carolina fired once, a shot through the leg. Delaware knocked the weapon away. Cortan dropped to his knees. You have no law, he spat, no code. Alaska walked to him slowly, stooped down. We don't need laws. He looked Cortan in the eyes. We have memory. A single blade, silent and precise, ended it. Cortan fell. The warship's flag was set ablaze. The dragons broadcasted one final message, transmitted to every corner of the galaxy. One of the architects of Crescent Haven is gone. You started this. We will finish it. Back on Earth, no official statement was made. No medals, no parades. The dragons didn't want them, didn't need them. In the halls of power, military officials debated how long they could let this go on. The dragons weren't controllable. They didn't ask permission, but they were effective. And the galaxy had changed. In hidden chambers, alien leaders panicked. Fleets were moved. Treaties were redrawn. Former enemies whispered about peace, not because they feared Earth, because they feared what Earth might unleash next. The dragons returned to the Nightclaw, not triumphant, just finished. They didn't speak. They cleaned their weapons, removed armor, checked wounds, slept with eyes half open. They had been created for a time of total darkness, and that time had returned. In the command chamber, Alaska stared at a rotating map of the stars. Targets marked, routes drawn, more architects, more threats. Earth would never be safe. But the dragons were watching. The galaxy had learned this lesson the hard way. You can attack Earth's colonies. You can strike from the shadows. But when you do, you summon the monsters. And the monsters do not stop until the stars go quiet.